Hello, it's Erin Paige with another GLAAL story, Go Live an Amazing Life. So have you ever wondered what a cup of coffee, a Diet Coke, and a quarter have in common? Well, my next guest, Cyndi Swall, coach, speaker, and Bliss mentor and author, will be sharing her story on how all three of those created a very, very heart-centered GLAAL moment. Let's take a listen. Hi, Cyndi. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Erin?
Well, I am doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for taking time to be with me today to share your GLAAL story, Go Live an Amazing Life. To start out with, I want you to share what you've been up to because you're just busy, busy, busy all the time, and you just published a book. Is that correct?
I did. And, thinking I am a quantum extrovert. So I'm thinking we're going to have like a big launch party and all the things that go with that and get to hang out with all my friends and celebrate this. And so for a lot of us who have big things going on right now, when you can't really be face to face to share with other people, you just get real creative about that. And so I decided it was the topic is the topic of the book is Bliss in the Wild. So there's just a good time for be rolling out that kind of content right now. So I decided to go ahead and do that. But I think mostly I'm busy with stuff that you're doing, which is looking at how can I support people during a period of time that, we've got this pause and what are we going to do with it? So
Yeah.
I feel very proud of the work that you're doing.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support that you've given me in the past. And, I'm so excited for you to share your GLAAL story, Go Live an Amazing Life. And with that, I'm going to change the screen so you can share with everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you. And, when you said share your GLAAL story, I'm like, gosh, like which one am I going to share, right? It's like there's so many great things that have happened when you are aware to what's going on around you. I was an executive coach for telecom for about 8 years. And during that period of time, it was a great gig. I learned all kinds of tools there. It's like all the swag I can carry in my Toomey roller bag. It was a good job. But I remember I started working on a project there with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Andrew Chate, and he was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and his studies were around positive psychology. So part of what he was doing, I was trying to bring into this organization. But I came to realize, like, the whole idea of positive psychology and what he was working on is that there are tons of psychologists that are studying important things like depression and sadness and all of the things that people are struggling with right now. But the idea around the work he was doing is he's like, you know what, let's study happy people. Let's study people who have come to a place of understanding and functioning and figure out, are they doing some things maybe that we can replicate? And it made me realize while I was enjoying the work I was doing enough, I was realizing that I was much less interested in making people better leaders than I was in making my leaders happier people. For a myriad of reasons, predominantly because the leaders who had good work-life integration, who knew their values, made decisions based on those, who hung around with people that they enjoyed, they're just better leaders. And so I took the voluntary separation and left there about 11, almost 12 years ago, and really started building my life around taking a look at what makes people happier. And what I learned, Erin, is that consistently happy people don't live in a constant state of Zen, right? They're awake to the whole human experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. However, what they've chosen to focus on is really more tied to what are the things that are going on around me that I can build energy from or that I can grow from. And so even though they're aware to all the experiences, they understand that it's very possible for us to have happiness without being at this pinnacle of spiritual and emotional utopia. Spoiler alert, that never happens. So if you're waiting for that to be like happiness all the time, it just doesn't work. And so what I started to do over time, just for myself in my own practice, is start to say, okay, when I get up in the morning, not to discount all the crap that's going on. It's like, you have to manage the facts, but you got to know the truth, which the truth is you are surrounded by goodness all the time, but we aren't seeing it through the filter of interference that we've created. And so I just started looking for those things. And so small circumstances started to happen that I was just aware of, and they were happening before, but I wasn't focused on that. An instance came up. This was the end of last summer. So I'm going to tell you a quick story that really kind of brought some things to light for me. I was in the hen house grocery store, and I had maybe 4 or 5 things. So I went to the express lane, and there was only one woman in front of me in the express lane, and she was probably about my age, but she was rode hard. She looked like she might have possibly been homeless, because she had, first of all, way more clothes on than she should have at that time of the year. It looked almost like she had all of her belongings on her body. Her hair had been disheveled. She had it pulled back in a dirty bandana, and she had 3 things in her basket. She had a loaf of white bread, a bar of Dial soap, and a 20-ounce Diet Coke. And so as I was waiting behind her, let me just take you back about 15 minutes into the story. I was in the same parking lot going through the Starbucks drive-through, and I had ordered my beverage, and I got up to pay for my beverage, and I realized that the person in front of me had already paid for it. So some of us have been in that scenario. It was kind of a thing to do there for a while. And so, which I was like all excited. It's like I'd won the coffee lottery, right? So I'm going to carry my coffee, and then I decided to go to the grocery store. So I'm standing in line behind this woman now, and she says to the cashier, she said, "Go ahead and ring the bread and the soap, and I'll wait and see if I have enough money for the Diet Coke." So she pulled like $2 and then some change out of her pocket. And I'm standing there still holding my free coffee. And I said to her, "You know what? Someone just bought my beverage for me, and I would love to pay it forward. Let me buy your Diet Coke for you." And she looked a little perplexed, but she said, okay. So she let me do it. And I bought her Diet Coke, and she paid for her items. And she turned to me and she said, "Someday, I hope that I can pay it forward." And I just nodded and smiled at her. And then I'm still standing there paying for my things as she's walking out of the grocery store. And there's a little boy on one of those dinosaur rides, you know what I mean? He's like sitting on his dinosaur ride, but it's not going anywhere. And he's all sad because his mom doesn't have any change to make this dinosaur go. And this woman reached into her sweater pocket and pulled out a quarter. And she put the quarter in the dinosaur ride, and it started up, and this little boy's face just lit up, and the mother thanked her for it. And she turned around and looked at me, and she just winked. She had already paid it forward before she ever left the store. And I remember thinking, I could have just bought my stuff and read a magazine and got out of there. But just being aware of those things, they're happening all the time. It happened the other day. I was sitting in a lane in my car, and there was a young girl, probably a teenager. Maybe she looks like she maybe just started driving. And so we were all stopped at a stoplight, and this girl comes up and she rear ends the car in front of her, this other woman. She hit her pretty hard. And then realizing what happened, this girl is really shook up, right? And she's starting to cry. Well, the woman in the front of her that she hits jumps out of her car, like she's going to do something about it, right? So she jumps out of her car, like she's going to be really irritated. And this little girl gets out of her car really slowly, and she is sobbing, Erin, like uncontrollably crying. And it's almost like this woman instantly noticed, like she shifted into mom gear or something, but it's like she walked over to this young girl as she closed her door, and she just wrapped her arms around this little girl. And she just held on to her, and I mean for a long time, and just let this girl sob on her shoulder. And I remember thinking in that moment, you're sitting at a stoplight, minding your own business, somebody rams into the back of your car unexpectedly. There are a myriad of responses that can come out of that, right? And so looking at those scenarios and choosing those responses, that is bliss. That is noticing moment by moment that there is good stuff happening, that there are good people doing good things. And it's just all the time, just looking around you and just noticing in your environment, like we're so focused on what we don't want and we can't figure out why we keep getting it. So if just once in a while, especially now when we're like sequestered in our home, to just look around your environment and figure out what it is that you're grateful for. I was looking at a plant today, and right before I got on this call, and I was like, I didn't even realize that had pink leaves on it. I love those leaves. Like I've never even seen it before. So I just wanted to share those things to be able to say, you know, what's going on right now and finding happiness in your life is not about the major life events. It's about being present to what's going on every day and just learning to recognize those things when they happen, when you're tripping over them. So that's my GLAAL story. Thank you for letting me share it.
Well, I have teared up like 6 times just listening to all of that. What amazing moments that you had presented to you, and you were in a space in your life where you could be aware of what's actually going on and to embrace it and to pay it forward in so many ways. So, woo, I'm kind of speechless. And exactly, exactly. Waterproof mascara, please work today, right?
So much goodness, Erin. Oh my God.
There really is. And it just, I want to express my deepest, most heartfelt appreciation for you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that even in this time of, shelter in place, you are just knocking it out of the park, moving forward with your passion and all the things that you do to make this world a better place. So thank you for blessing all of us out there with the reminder to pay it forward and to spend the time to just be aware of what's actually going on. And there is goodness everywhere, even in the noticing of a new color in a plant leaf, right? So thank you again for all of that. To everyone else out there, please, I know that I speak for Cyndi as well. Go live an amazing life. Go see the good. Go embrace it. If there's something that you notice out there that needs a little extra love, give it. Give it in your own unique way. So with that, go live an amazing life. Go GLAAL, and everyone have an awesome, awesome day. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.